My name is Tony Prescott. I'm the Director of Sheffield Robotics, and I'm also a Professor of Cognitive Neuroscience. So I'm trained as a psychologist, but throughout my life I've been interested in building machines and artifacts that have intelligence. Robot means different things to different people. Most people, when they think about robots, think about ones that they've seen in science fiction movies, and they think about robots that look like people. So a humanoid-like robot. And some robots are humanoid, but most robots aren't. And it's important to understand that the kind of robots that we're going to see more of, most of them will not be humanoid. And actually we might not even think of them as robots. In 10 years' time, you'll have cars that will drive themselves. And to me, that's another kind of robot. Because what makes something a robot is the fact that it's a machine that has some autonomy to make its own decisions about what we'll do next. For the Festival of Mind, the Sheffield Centre for Robotics is planning to present a series of lectures on different aspects of robots and their impacts on people and on society. We think there'll be exciting and engaging topics looking at the future for robotics as well as the state of the art. We'll also have an exhibition for a few hours where we'll show off some state-of-the-art robots. We'll bring out some of the humanoid or animal-like robots that we have, maybe some small swarm robots. We also have some flying robots, and we'll show you some of the things that they can do and talk about what the potential for them is. With the humanoid robots, you'll be able to interact with it and it will be able to talk back. We also have an animal-like seal robot which you can interact with physically. You can touch it and you can stroke it. And that robot is in fact used in healthcare to assist people that are perhaps distressed or concerned, and it's a way of calming them down to interact with what is essentially a robot pet. So you can come out and meet these different kinds of robots, experience them for yourselves, and perhaps see what human-robot interaction might be like in the future. So these are unmanned aerial vehicles, which are a commercial robot, flying robot that you can buy. These are actually a quadcopter, so there's 4 motors, sort of flying a helicopter kind of action. And there's lots of interesting research questions about how we can get them to fly in formation, or we can use them in particular application areas. So an example of that would be crop inspection. So you fly this over a field and you could look for weeds, or you could look for patches of disease in the crop, and that could help you know how to apply pesticide or fertilizer more effectively. I think when it comes to fear of robots, there are sort of historical precedents that if you can go back to the Greeks, and people were afraid of the statues coming alive at night because they were so realistic. They thought, well, it's going to wake up in the night and kill us all. So our fear of robots is by no means something entirely new. We've always had this fear of inanimate things becoming animate, and particularly if they look lifelike, then we can see them as a threat. So we have that anxiety, particularly about robots, I think, because they are similar to us in many ways. They behave, they seem to think, they seem to know things. Sometimes they even look like us.
If you don't take me into your festival, I will be sad.
But I think as robots come into the world, and there are more of them, we'll actually get used to them, and some of those anxieties will decline, particularly if they're useful. And my experience with real robots, as opposed to science fiction robots, is that people overcome their fears very quickly if they meet a robot that's friendly, helpful and useful. This is a robot hand. You can see it's got 3 fingers, and each of the fingers actually has a tactile sensing pad on it. You can't see, but it's also got some tactile sensors in the palm of the hand. And one of the things we're interested in doing is understanding how we can use touch better in robots. So one of the big problems with robots right now is they can't manipulate things like cloth or soft objects like sandwiches. If you want to build a robot that can make a sandwich, we can't solve that problem right now. But touch could be really critical to that. In this century, we will see robots out in the streets, in our houses, in public places, doing things, behaving, acting, and we're going to have to get used to them, and they're going to be doing lots of useful things, but it's going to be a revolutionary change, and we want to understand what the impact of that revolution is going to be. But I'm also keen that Sheffield is at the front of the revolution. I think we've got everything we need to do that. We've got world-class engineering here, but we've also got great science, great humanities and social science research, and all those things come together to contribute towards robotics.